The popular weight loss injections aren't as successful as you might think. Hey everybody, in this video we're going to look at the data and the results in the studies looking at these weight loss injections. A lot of people, maybe some people watching this video, wonder if they're the only person who doesn't seem to be losing much weight on Ozempic or Wegovy or tirzepatide. The answer is no, you're not alone. I think it's worth looking at the studies that are published and that are used as the foundation for some of the claims that we see popularized in the media and in social media. So let's look at some of the big studies, the popular studies from mainstream journals reporting the success rates of these injections. The first study I want to look at is entitled Long-Term Weight Loss Effects of Semaglutide in Obesity Without Diabetes in the Select Trial. This was published in March of 2024 in Nature Medicine, a mainstream periodical. Dana Ryan et al. I will say toward the end of the study, the conflict of interest are significant in just about all of these authors. So something to keep in mind, not that we want to be total cynics, but it's a factor. In this study, they followed 17,604 patients who were treated with semaglutide, which is the ingredient, the active ingredient in Ozempic, Wegovy, and is one of two main ingredients in the medications of tirzepatide, Zepbound. So 17,000 patients. This study was 4 years. So this is some of the longest term data we have on these weight loss injections. In general, they found that women tended to lose more weight than men. Younger patients tended to lose more weight than older patients. And the trend was that over 4 years, the weight that the patients lost was typically lost in the first year, and the following 3 years really was just a matter of maintenance or a plateau. So at the 4-year mark, the mean or the average weight loss in these 17,000 patients was just above 10% of their body weight. Keep that in mind. So you might ask, well, what percentage of these patients lost at least 5% of their body weight? That was 67%. What percentage of these patients lost at least 10% of their body weight? That was 44%. So the converse of that is, well, about 56, or the majority of the patients, 56% of them, lost less than 10% of their body weight. Now, what percentage of these 17,000 people lost more than 25% of their body weight? That was 4.9%. So less than 1 in 20 lost at least 25% of their body weight. Among these 17,000 patients, 12% of them got to what is considered a healthy weight. In other words, it's not overweight or obese anymore. 12%. Now, let's look at these numbers in a real-life, realistic context. Let's consider a woman who's 40 years old, who's 5 foot 4 inches tall, and starts out weighing 215 pounds. How does she do according to these numbers? So this woman who's 5'4", 215 pounds, her body mass index starting out is 36.9. So on average, these women lost 10% of their body weight. That is 21.93 pounds. And so on average, someone who started this study weighing 215 got down to 193 pounds. New body mass index is 33. So the body mass index went from 36 to 33. Now, I mentioned that in this study, males lost less weight than the females from a percent body weight standpoint. They lost on average 7.5% of body weight. So let's look at a male example. Consider a 40-year-old male who's 5 foot 10 inches tall and starts out weighing 250 pounds. On average, that guy's going to lose 18.75 pounds, and this is over 4 years. So that leads him to an end weight of 231, just over 231 pounds. That is not stellar, and that's the average in this study. So you might back up and think, okay, this is a 4-year study, that's 48 months. These medications typically cost $1,000. That's $48,000 for a fairly average male to lose less than 20 pounds. Or $48,000 for a typical female to lose 21 pounds. According to this study, a woman starting out at 215, 1 in 20, 4.9%, will lose 53 pounds and end up at a weight of 161. 1 in 20. This is not stellar. The point is that these results are in the context of historical medications which really did not work very well. Typical dieting methods result in less than 5% long-term weight loss. So it's in that context that these new numbers are praised and heralded with enthusiasm. But when you really back up, they're not that great. People don't lose that much weight on these injections typically. Some will argue, well, wait a minute, tirzepatide. It's a more effective medication. Tirzepatide, so Zepbound, Mounjaro, these are medications that have the GLP-1 receptor agonist as well as GIP receptor agonist. It's a dual medication. Let's look at those numbers. For that, we will consider the study semaglutide versus tirzepatide for weight loss in adults with overweight or obesity. This was published in July of 2024. Patricia Rodriguez et al. And this was published in JAMA Internal Medicine. JAMA is Journal of American Medical Association. In this study, they started out with 41,000 patients, and in the efforts to come up with two comparable groups, and after processing initial data, they came away with 18,000, just over 18,000 patients using a propensity score to match, which another video we talked about the issues with that. At the beginning of this study, the average weight was 242 pounds. It should be noted that in this study, around 55% of patients chose to stop these injections within 1 year. This is a 1-year study, 12 months. These 18,000 patients. Over half of the patients chose to stop the medications. And you recall there's a study out of the UK last year that showed that 72% of patients stopped weight loss injections within 2 years, either due to the cost or the side effects. If you consider that, the numbers are even less favorable. Now, in this study, in JAMA, again, we're comparing tirzepatide to semaglutide. After 1 year, what are the results? Those receiving tirzepatide, 71% of them after 1 year had lost over 5% of their total body weight. Those receiving semaglutide, which is like Ozempic, 56.4% of them at 1 year had lost over 5% of their body weight. Again, that's less than the previous study we just reviewed. At 1 year, the average weight loss with tirzepatide was 11.4% of body weight. With the semaglutide, it was 6.2%. The results for semaglutide in this study are worse than the previous study published a couple of months before. In this second study, 58% of patients lost less than 15% of their body weight. So in the example of a 40-year-old, 5'4", 215-pound woman starting out, 58% of women matching that description lost less than 32 pounds. For men, it was less than 37 pounds. 58% of them lost than 37 pounds. So with that second study, the 1 year results showed that tirzepatide resulted in about the same amount of weight loss as semaglutide in the previous study, and less weight loss was receiving semaglutide than the previous study. Now you might say, hey, you're a bariatric surgeon. Of course you don't like these injections. I used to prescribe these medications for weight loss and for diabetes, and I see patients come in for the first time every day who are currently on these injections or have been on them. So I see a lot of people that actually fit these studies quite well. They don't lose much weight. There's a lot of people who don't lose any weight on the injections. For me, it has been one of multiple tools I have to help people, the other one being bariatric surgery. After seeing the lackluster results and seeing some significant side effects, I really do not prescribe these anymore. A very selective group of people, will continue to prescribe them, but just a small handful. I see the results. There are a lot of frustrated people who think that they're the only one who isn't losing much weight based on what you hear in social media. And it's important to have appropriate expectations as to the likelihood of success and how much weight a person will lose. The majority of people I see who've been on the injections haven't lost any weight, or maybe 10 pounds or less. It really is the exception for an individual to lose a lot of weight and keep it off on these weight loss injections. This is a group of people that at their baseline, they feel judged, they feel shame, they feel guilt, and this is based on the messaging from society and the medical community, and I empathize for them. Now, there are examples of people who've lost a lot of weight and have kept it off, and they feel wonderful, and that is absolutely awesome. Very excited and happy for those people. I just want the majority of people who don't have those same results to know that they're not alone. I want them to know there are other options that are actually more effective. The results last longer, and actually it's less expensive. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.